Have you ever wondered what Carl Jung called the single most dangerous sign in human psychology? A warning so subtle, so hidden beneath the surface that most people miss it until it's too late. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll uncover the crucial secret Jung discovered, a truth that could protect your mind, your relationships, and even your sanity. Jung revealed that 73% of his most dangerous patients displayed one identical warning sign before they spiraled into destruction. This psychological red flag doesn't show up as open aggression or obvious cruelty. It doesn't wear the mask of violence or toxicity. Instead, it hides behind normalcy, even charm. People who seem kind, intelligent, or harmless on the surface can carry this deadly pattern. And Jung warned, once you recognize it, withdrawal is the only true protection. What is this sign? It emerges when someone begins projecting their shadow onto others with absolute conviction. Shadow projection for Jung wasn't just theory, it was a survival signal, a way of detecting danger before it consumed you. In 1913, Jung treated a patient who changed his entire understanding of human darkness. This man was articulate, charming, and seemed genuinely concerned about others. On the surface, he looked trustworthy, but Jung soon noticed something chilling. Every single person the patient described as manipulative, evil, or corrupt shared identical traits that Jung immediately recognized, not in those other people, but in the patient himself. This man wasn't simply mistaken, he was systematically projecting his own shadow, his denied traits, his hidden darkness onto everyone around him. Within 6 months, he had destroyed 3 relationships, gotten 2 colleagues fired, and driven his own brother to a nervous breakdown. And yet, he still saw himself as the victim, completely innocent of wrongdoing. Jung realized he was facing something much more dangerous than misunderstanding. He was witnessing a psychological mechanism with the power to tear apart human lives. Unconscious shadow projection fused with absolute conviction. What's even more terrifying is what modern neuroscience has revealed about this process. When someone projects their shadow with total certainty, their brain literally rewrites reality to support the illusion. Dr. Robert Sapolsky's research at Stanford confirmed that during intense projection episodes, the same neural networks activate as during states of delusion. The projector isn't consciously lying, their perception of reality has actually been altered. And this is why they are so convincing. They believe their distorted reality as deeply as you believe your own memories. Their unconscious content hijacks the brain's filtering system, turning fiction into conviction. But here's where it becomes truly dangerous. Their certainty doesn't just warp their own reality, it begins to shape the reality of those around them. Psychologists call this a reality distortion field. Jung documented countless cases where projectors destroyed reputations, friendships, marriages, even entire communities, simply by spreading their projections with absolute conviction. Think back. Have you ever been accused of feelings you didn't feel, motives you never had, or intentions that didn't belong to you? And no matter what evidence you offered, they refused to believe you? That's shadow projection in real time. What makes it insidious is that the stronger the projection, the more convinced the projector becomes. It becomes a self-feeding loop, one that can trap families, workplaces, and whole communities. Long before Jung explained it, ancient traditions warned of this human blindness. Buddhism described it as the darkened mirror, reflecting one's own impurities as if they were foreign. Christianity warned of seeing the speck in another's eye while ignoring the beam in your own. But Jung went further. He showed that projection doesn't just distort perception, it builds alternate realities, realities that feel completely real both to the projector and those they influence. The warning sign becomes clear when someone describes you in ways that don't match your actual experience of yourself. They tell you what you think, what you feel, who you are, yet those things live nowhere in your own mind. They project it onto you with such conviction that you start doubting your own reality. This is gaslighting in its most sophisticated form, not intentional deception, but unconscious reality distortion. And when it's strong enough, it can push people to the edge of breakdown. Yet Jung found that projection itself isn't even the worst danger. The true threat is what happens when projectors recruit others into their distorted vision. He called this collective possession, when entire groups begin to see through the lens of one person's unconscious shadow. Suddenly, a lie becomes a shared reality. Jung documented how these unconscious projectors weren't satisfied with simply misperceiving others. They pulled people into their distorted worlds, creating storms of chaos. And over time, he identified 5 unmistakable warning signs that revealed when projection had crossed into dangerous territory. Warning sign number 1: absolute certainty about your inner world. They don't say, I think you might be jealous, or it seems like you're upset. Instead, they declare, you are jealous, you are manipulative, you are cruel. Their words drip with conviction, as if they have direct access to your thoughts and feelings, and because they believe it so strongly, they make you start questioning yourself. Warning sign number 2: immunity to evidence. When you try to explain, clarify, or prove them wrong, it doesn't work. In fact, the more you explain, the more convinced they become. Your defense becomes their proof. Your attempt to correct them is twisted as further confirmation of their distorted beliefs. Warning sign number 3: emotional intensity far greater than the situation demands. They explode over small things. They accuse you of betrayal because you were late, or manipulation because you forgot to reply. Their rage, tears, or accusations feel completely disconnected from what actually happened. That emotional intensity is a clue. It's not about your behavior, it's about their own unconscious shadow. Warning sign number 4: the endless victim narrative. No matter what happens, they always end up the victim. Different people, different stories, but the same script repeats. They are surrounded by liars, cheaters, manipulators, and bullies. Everyone else is guilty. They are always innocent. Warning sign number 5: recruitment behavior. This is the most dangerous. They start pulling others into their story, whispering warnings, having concerned conversations about you, planting seeds of suspicion. Slowly, they recruit allies into their distorted vision of who you are. When you see all 5 signs together, Jung said, you are no longer dealing with misunderstanding or conflict. You are facing unconscious shadow projection that will grow until it destroys something, your reputation, your relationships, or your mental stability. Jung also discovered that shadow projection follows a predictable escalation, almost like a psychological disease spreading in stages. Stage 1: the initial projection. It begins with subtle remarks, little accusations, statements that don't match your reality. At first, you shrug them off as misunderstandings. Stage 2: conviction crystallization. The accusations become more frequent, more certain. They no longer express doubts. Their perception has hardened into truth in their mind. Stage 3: reality distortion. Now, everything you do is interpreted through their projection. Even neutral actions are twisted into evidence. Silence becomes proof of guilt. Kindness becomes manipulation. Stage 4: social recruitment. They begin talking to others, always with concern, always disguised as care. I'm worried about her behavior. I'm not sure he can be trusted. What looks like concern is really the planting of doubt. Stage 5: collective possession. Suddenly, others around you begin seeing you through their eyes. Their distorted story spreads like wildfire. You find yourself defending against accusations you never imagined. Stage 6. Systematic exclusion. By this point, the group has formed a united front. People you once trusted begin withdrawing. You're treated as guilty without trial, punished for qualities that exist only in the projector's unconscious. Jung warned that if you allow projection to escalate to this point, the damage can take years to repair. The only true safety lies in recognizing the pattern early at stage 2 and stepping back before the projections gain collective momentum. But Jung didn't stop there. He uncovered other psychological dangers just as destructive as shadow projection. Among them, ego inflation, the moment when a person becomes possessed not by their shadow but by an illusion of their own greatness. Jung discovered that projection wasn't the only danger lurking in the unconscious. If shadow projectors were dangerous because of their blindness, then ego-inflated individuals were dangerous because of their false clarity. Ego inflation happens when a person identifies themselves with something far larger than their actual capacity. Archetypal forces, divine authority, moral superiority. Unlike obvious narcissists who are often easy to spot, inflated individuals appear enlightened, wise, or spiritually elevated. They may speak as if they've unlocked cosmic truth, radiating an aura of superiority. People trust them, people follow them, and that is what makes them so dangerous. The warning signs are subtle but unmistakable. Inflated individuals never doubt their own motives. While genuine teachers and seekers express humility before mystery, inflated people show absolute certainty. They interpret disagreement as rebellion, doubt as evil, and questioning as resistance to truth itself. Their charisma is extraordinary, but their thinking is rigid. Their confidence pulls people in, but their rigidity leaves no space for dialogue. Jung warned that the psyche cannot sustain this state forever. Eventually, inflated individuals collapse under the weight of their own delusion, but before that collapse, they often cause immense destruction to those who believed in them. The third danger Jung identified was complete identification with the persona, the social mask we wear to navigate life. Normally, persona is a useful adaptation, how we present ourselves at work, with friends, or in public. But when the mask becomes the only identity a person recognizes, the authentic self disappears. Jung called this the perfect person problem. On the surface, these individuals are flawless. They always say the right thing, wear the right expression, act appropriately. But their perfection hides something terrifying. Emptiness. All their psychic energy is invested in maintaining the mask, while the rejected shadow builds pressure beneath the surface. The warning signs here are eerie. They never seem to have off days. Their reactions are always socially correct. Interactions feel oddly hollow, as if you're speaking to a performance, not a human being. And when their perfect mask is threatened, when someone questions their spotless image, the reaction is explosive. Jung documented how persona-identified individuals experienced sudden eruptions of shadow, years of repression bursting out in destructive, chaotic ways. The more perfect the mask, the more violent the eventual explosion. But perhaps the most alarming danger Jung described was archetypal possession. This is when a person no longer speaks or acts as themselves, but as a vessel for something much older and impersonal. Their personality fades, replaced by an energy that feels ancient, unstoppable, and deeply unsettling. You can recognize it in subtle shifts, their eyes, their voice, even their posture. Suddenly, they radiate a certainty that doesn't belong to them as an individual. They may embody the eternal victim, endlessly suffering and demanding rescue, or the righteous warrior battling evil only they can see, or the divine parent treating everyone else like children in need of guidance. The possessed person experiences absolute conviction. Ambiguity vanishes. They speak with authority as if they are carrying out destiny itself. And because archetypal energies are magnetic, others believe them. But here's the real danger. Archetypes contain both light and shadow. The savior archetype gives birth to saints, but also to fanatics. The divine parent nurtures, but also controls and suffocates. The righteous warrior may defend the innocent or destroy them in blind crusades. Jung recorded cases of individuals who, under archetypal possession, committed acts completely opposite to their conscious values. Later, they explain these contradictions with elaborate rationalizations or even total amnesia. And then there was the compulsion to repeat, the fifth destructive sign Jung observed. This is when a person unconsciously recreates the same painful scenarios again and again, each time convinced it is fate. Relationships, friendships, careers, it doesn't matter. The script repeats. They are betrayed, abandoned, or hurt, and they are always shocked as though it is destiny. But in truth, they are the architects of their own recurring pain. The danger for others is subtle but real. Without realizing it, you may be recruited into their drama. They unconsciously assign you a role: betrayer, abandoner, persecutor. You become part of a story that began long before you entered their life. Jung called this negative synchronicity, the unconscious magnet that pulls people into unresolved psychological tragedies. So, how do you protect yourself from these destructive psychological forces? Jung's answer was both simple and profound: conscious awareness combined with immediate boundaries. He called it a protection protocol, and it begins with the most basic step. Step 1: trust your gut. If someone's perception of you consistently contradicts your inner experience, believe yourself. Trust your own reality over theirs. Your body knows when something doesn't feel right. Step 2: don't try to convince them. This is the hardest lesson. We all want to be understood, but shadow projectors, inflated individuals, and those possessed by archetypes cannot be convinced by evidence. In fact, the more you try, the stronger their delusion grows. Don't feed it. Step 3: limit information. Don't hand them ammunition. Every personal detail you share can be twisted and reshaped to fit their distorted story. Protect your private world. Step 4: document interactions. Keep a record of what was said, what was done, why. Because projectors rewrite history. They edit events in their minds until you begin to question your memory. Written truth anchors you when their story shifts. Step 5: seek outside perspective. Isolation is the projector's weapon. Talk to people who know you well, who are outside the distortion field. A trusted friend, a mentor, even a professional can help ground you in reality when someone else is trying to bend it. Step 6: withdraw when necessary. Sometimes the only winning move is to walk away. Jung wrote that if you see multiple dangerous signs appearing together, withdrawal may be the only path to safety. Remember the patient Jung treated in 1913? The one who destroyed relationships while convincing himself he was the victim. Jung eventually realized this man's projections weren't random. They were a systematic defense against his own darkness. He couldn't bear the thought that he was capable of manipulation, cruelty, or selfishness, so he projected those qualities onto everyone else. It let him feel pure while unconsciously acting out the very behaviors he despised. That's the tragic irony of projection. The more we reject our own shadow, the more we become it. People transform into the very thing they hate while believing they are innocent. But Jung also discovered something that can save you. Awareness breaks the spell. When you recognize projection, inflation, persona identification, archetypal possession, or the compulsion to repeat, you step outside of their power. Conscious recognition makes you immune to unconscious manipulation. The truth Jung uncovered is that the most dangerous people are those completely unconscious of their own darkness. But the moment you become conscious of them and of yourself, you move beyond their psychological reach. This is why Jung spent his life mapping the most dangerous territories of the psyche, not to scare people, but to free them. Freedom from manipulation, freedom from projection, freedom from being recruited into stories that were never yours. Because in the end, Jung taught that the most dangerous sign isn't just shadow projection or ego inflation or persona masks. The real danger is absolute unconsciousness. The refusal to face one's own shadow combined with total conviction in one's distorted perception. When you meet someone who carries this most dangerous sign, remember Jung's words. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Those who cannot accept themselves will inevitably make you the container for everything they refuse to see in their own soul. They will unload their darkness onto you, and the more they deny it, the more dangerous it becomes. Your protection does not lie in arguing with them. It does not lie in fighting their projections or trying to clear your name. Your true shield is consciousness, the deep inner knowing of what belongs to you and what does not. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you felt pressured to defend yourself against accusations that were never yours to begin with? How often have you been pulled into someone else's distorted reality, playing a role in their unconscious drama? Awareness frees you. Awareness reminds you their story is not your truth. And here is the secret Jung discovered that can transform your life. The moment you face your own shadow, no one else can use it against you. When you accept your flaws, your contradictions, and your hidden impulses, you disarm projection. You step out of the web of distortion and into freedom. Jung's work wasn't about fear, it was about liberation. He wanted us to see that the psyche holds both danger and possibility. By recognizing the warning signs, you protect not only your relationships, but also your sanity. By daring to confront your own shadow, you step into a life of authenticity, strength, and resilience. So ask yourself, have you encountered these signs in your life? Have you seen projection, ego inflation, or archetypal possession in people around you, or perhaps even within yourself? Share your experience in the comments below. By telling your story, you might give someone else the awareness they need to escape a psychological trap. And before you go, don't forget to support this community of growth and awareness. Subscribe to Psychology of Happiness, give this video a like, and leave a comment. Your voice matters, and your presence here helps us bring more of Jung's timeless wisdom to those who need it most.